Wala pa siya.
Bakit? Natutapos na si Nisa? Hinahanap ko nga kanina. Sabihan mo siya na. Suspend. Suspend lang ha? Suspend lang. Contract. Huwag nga. Oh, kaya nga. Hindi, sige na. Ang minority pang nag-move na second reading eh.
Wala pa. 250. Oo nga. 250 lang.
The Speaker of the House, in consultation with the Deputy Speakers, has designated Wilter Palma Sharkey as presiding officer for today's plenary session.
Session resume.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the suspension of session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.
Jeff. Yung resolution na lang. Habang wala pang ginagawa eh.
Kongguya, kumusta?
Mayo Manse.
Yung dalawang resolution.
Ito.
Ito sir.
Page 3.
Yung duwa kabilo? Reference din sir. Wala pa reference.
Sige, reference na.
Okay, reference.
Wala akong salamin.
Wala akong salamin. Ano? Wala akong salamin. Andun salamin ko na iwan ko. Ako na lang sa reso. Kukulit ko na yung salamin.
Session resume.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we proceed with the additional reference of business and request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bills, resolution on first reading as well as communication and committee reports. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is directed to read the title of the measure on first reading as well as communications and resolutions.
Bills on first reading, House Bill 7548, increasing the bed capacity of the Tumani Community Hospital, Tumani Isabela, from 15 to 100 beds.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7549, converting the Milagros Albano District Hospital in Cabagan, Isabela into a general and specialty hospital by Representative Albano.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 7550 establishing a 100-bed district satellite hospital of the Milagros Albano District Hospital in Dimapula, Divilacan, Isabela, to be known as the Divilacan Milagros Albano District Satellite Hospital by Representative Albano.
The Committee on Health.
House Bill number 7551 to 7553 declaring certain places in Isabela as ecotourism site tourist destination by Representative Albano.
To the Committee on Tourism.
House Bill 7554 establishing the Bahay Pag-asa of the Province of Isabela by Representative Albano.
To the Committee on Welfare of Children.
House Bill 7555 establishing the Philippine Science High School Isabela Campus in Cabagan, Isabela by Representative Albano.
To the Committee on Science and Technology.
Resolutions. House Resolution 1174 seeking strict implementation of MMDA and LGUs and compliance of bikers to traffic rules and regulations to improve road safety by Representative Pancho.
To the Committee on Metro Manila Development.
House Resolution 1175 urging the appropriate House Committee to utilize the vacant frequencies of ABS-CBN for distance learning as an alternative mode for in-person classes during the COVID-19 pandemic by Representative Herrera D.
To the Defeat COVID-19 Ad hoc Committee.
House Resolution 1176 expressing the sense of the House to nominate Ramon Revilla Sr. for the National Artist Award for film in recognition of his immense contributions to Philippine culture and the arts, specifically to Philippine entertainment industry, by Representatives Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda, Suarez Aleta, Arroyo, Pichay, Balindong, Babasa, Castro, Ferdenil, Mercado, Radaza, Roman Sanchez de Venecia, Co Elizalde, Garbin, Lagon, Ebcas, Momo, Padiernos de Jesus, Guya, Teves Jose, De Los Santos, and Dagoo.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communications, letter dated 11 May 2020 of Cecilia C. Borromeo, President and CEO, Land Bank of the Philippines, submitting to the House their report on the utilization of funds for the Unconditional Cash Transfer Program first quarter, CY 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letters and emails of several municipal mayors, city mayors, provincial governor informing the House of their reports on fund utilization and status of program project activity implementation relative to the Bayanihan Grant to cities and municipalities and to provinces for certain months of 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated July 7, 2020 of Cesar Ardulay, Commissioner BIR DOF, submitting the Bureau's consolidated monthly report of disbursements for the month of May 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letters of city mayors, provincial governors, municipal mayors informing the House on the reports on fund utilization and status of program project implementation relative to the Local Government Support Fund, financial assistance to LGU for certain months of 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated July 15, 2020 of Wendell E. Avisado, Secretary DBM, submitting to the House their status of fiscal year 2020 budget, programs, releases, balances as of June 30, 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
The letter dated July 16, 2020 of Jaime H. Morante, Commissioner, Bureau of Immigration, DOJ, submitting the Bureau's collection report of express lane fee for the second quarter of 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated July 17, 2020 of General Ricardo Visaya, Administrator, NIA, submitting the second quarter report of the NIA Carp Irrigation Component, calendar year 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Memorandum dated July 17, 2020 of Secretary Carlito Galvez, Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, OPAP, informing the House that their financial accountability reports for the second quarter of fiscal year 2020 have been posted to the OPAP's official website and submitted to the Unified Reporting System.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated July 17, 2020 of Minerva Morales, President, Catanduanes State University, submitting to the House their budget accountability report as of June 30, 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated July 17, 2020 of Ibarra Macapanton, President, General Manager, CEO of Marawi Resort Hotel Incorporated, MSU Main Campus, Marawi City, furnishing the House a copy of their 2019 annual report.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
letter dated August 3, 2020 of Cecilia Borromeo, President and CEO, Land Bank of the Philippines, submitting to the House the report on the utilization of funds for unconditional cash transfer program, second quarter, calendar year 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Mid-year report of the Bureau of Customs from January to June 2020.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
2019 audit report of the Cagayan de Oro City Water District, Corrales Avenue, Cagayan de Oro City.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Committee report number 464 of the Committees on Higher and Technical Education and Appropriation on House Bill number 7565, report number 465, the Committees on Higher and Technical Education, Appropriations, and Ways and Means on House Bill number 7566.
To the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Resolution number 1132
Third page.
as contained in Committee Report number 412, submitted by the Committee on Defeat COVID-19 Ad hoc Committee. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Hindi, walang ano, hindi roll call vote. Adoption lang yan. Meron doon, meron doon. Sino ko, sir?
Meron, nandyan sa ano?
Yes, sir. 1332. Secretary General is directed to read the title.
Secretary General is directed to read the title of the House Resolution.
Sige, si ano na, go. Go, Wilford. House Resolution.
The microphone.
House Resolution 1132, resolution expressing the highest appreciation and profound gratitude of the House of Representatives to all Filipino healthcare workers and frontliners who courageously and unselfishly rendered their services to the nation and across the globe in the fight against COVID-19.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt House Resolution number 1132.
Is there any objection? So there is none. The House Resolution number
1132, sir.
1132
1132 is hereby adopted.
is by adopted. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, another resolution, Mr. Speaker. I move that we consider House Bill Resolution number 1160 as contained in Committee Report number 435, submitted by the Committee on Energy. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the House Resolution.
House Resolution 1160, a resolution recognizing and honoring the accomplishments of the National Electrification Administration, NEA, in bringing electricity to the countryside and fostering social and economic growth and development through its partnership with electric cooperatives.
Is there any objection? House Resolution number 1160 is now adopted. Majority Leader. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the suspension of session.
Session suspended.
Ano? Geraldine? Ha? Ready na siya? Sarah, hindi ko makontak eh. Okay. Joven. Yung ano lang, with the book of the house.
Kasi parang mahina yung microphone.
Yung privilege ako.
Okay, boss.
Tapos si Geraldine Roman.
Bakit? Madalim. Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with leave of the House, I move that we open the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair is none. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the lady from 1st District of Bataan, the Honorable Geraldine B. Roman, be recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
The Honorable Congresswoman Geraldine Roman of Bataan is now recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, mga mahal kong kasamahan sa Kongreso, mga kababayang nating Pilipinong sumusubaybay sa sesyon na ito sa pamamagitan ng official FB page of the House of Representatives, isang magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Marahil, marami po sa inyo ang magtataka kung bakit ang napili kong paksa para sa aking talumpati ngayong hapon ito ay ang usapin ng land and agrarian reform. Malamang sa mga sandaling ito, may ilan sa inyo ang magtatanong, ano ba ang nakain ni Geraldine Roman, the foremost champion of LGBT rights in the 18th Congress, in the words of Representative Malu Acosta Alba, ang ating chairperson of the Committee on Women and Gender Equality, at napili ni Geraldine Roman na pasukin ang masalimuot na usapin ng agrarian reform. Ano ba siya? At sino ba siya? At pilit niyang tinatawag ang ating pansin sa isang usapin na sa pagkahaba-haba ng panahon na ilang daang taon na ang nakalilipas, ay tila wala ng lunas at hindi na dapat pag-aksayahan pa ng panahon. Nakakasiguro rin po ako na mayroong magsasabi, hindi ba rin taling siya sa isang pamilyang nagmana at nag-aari ng lupa? Is this not a contradiction? Hindi ba ito kaduda-duda? Mga minamahal kong mga kasamahan sa Kongreso, simple lang po ang aking kasagutan. Ginagawa ko po ito dahil naniniwala po ako sa equality, ang pagkakapantay-pantay ng lahat ng mga Pilipino, maging sino man siya o maging ano paman ang kanyang antas sa buhay. I believe that all law-abiding Filipinos deserve equal rights, equal opportunities, and equal protection under the law. But more so, I believe that those who have less in life should have more in laws. Nais ko sanang ituon ang inyong pansin sa kalagayan ng ating mga magsasakang patuloy na wala pang lupa, pati na rin sa sitwasyon ng mga magsasakang nakabinbin ang mga kaso, at pati na rin ang sitwasyon ng ating mga agrarian reform beneficiaries, sapagkat naniniwala po ako na hindi sila nabibigyan ng karampatang proteksyon sa ilalim ng ating mga kasalukuyang batas. Alala ko po, way back in 2013, nung huling termino ng aking ina bilang kinatawa ng unang distrito ng Bataan, ay nagtrabaho ako sa kanyang tanggapan kung saan naatasan ako na tulungan ang mga nagsasakang lumalapit upang humingi ng tulong sa kanilang mga kasong may kinalaman sa agrarian reform. Marami pong mga kaso ang nabibitin pa mula pa ng panahon ng Estrada administration. At ang ilan ay nagbubukat pa po ng panahon ni Presidente Marcos. Karamihan ng mga kasong nailapit sa akin ang sumasaklaw sa sunod-sunod na henerasyon ng iisang pamilya. Nang inalam ko kung bakit nagtatagal ang kanilang kaso ay natuklasan ko na nauupuan lamang ang mga ito di lamang sa Department of Agrarian Reform, kundi pati na rin sa iba't ibang hukuman ng ating bansa. Kasama dyan ang mga municipal trial courts, regional trial courts, Court of Appeals at Supreme Court. And not to mention the Office of the President, kung saan nire-review ang mga desisyon ng DAR. Hindi po katakataka na nagtatagal ang buong proseso bago mabigyan ng lupa ang mga magsasaka at kadalasan ay namamatay na po ang mga original claimants sa kakaintay sa isang final and definitive solution. Natutuwa naman po ako na sa ilalim ng kasalukuyang pamumuno ni Secretary John Castriciones ay nabibigyan ng agarang desisyon ang mga kasong nasa DAR at may pagmamalaki nila na mayroon silang zero backlog sa mga kaso. Gayunpaman, sinasamantala ng mga dating may-ari ng lupa ang ating sistema sa iba't ibang mga hukuman. My dear colleagues, something is wrong with our present system of laws because it allows legal jurisdiction over the same piece of land covered under the CAR to be spread out so the entire process becomes seemingly endless. Tandaan po natin, ang katagang justice delayed is justice denied, and our farmers deserve more. Sa isang banda, hindi katakatakang lumaban sa mga hukuman ng mga dating may-ari ng lupa na nasakop ng CAR. Dahil hindi malinaw sa ilalim ng mga kasalukuyang batas ang konsepto ng just compensation na hindi nakabase sa aktwal na fair market value ng nasabing lupa. While we recognize that we have to give more to those who do not have much in life, this will only be made possible if the other parties concerned perceive that the state has also taken them into consideration in the administration of justice. Sa madaling salita, dapat walang dehado. Pag-usapan naman natin ngayon ang mga magsasakang na-awardan na ng CLOA. Bagamat natutuwa ang mga magsasaka makamit ang kanilang mga lupa, ay tinatanong malamang nila sa puntong ito kung paano nila mababayaran ito sa land tax ng hulugan over a period of 30 years. Intindihin niyo. Pagkaraan ng maraming taon ng makikipaglaban, ay hindi natin maaasahang makaipon ng puhunan ang mga magsasaka. That would be an unreasonable expectation. Kung gayon, bakit natin pinapataw sa kanila ang dagdag pasanin ng pagbabayad sa land tax? Under this present system, any medium and small-scale farming venture is doomed to fail from the very start. Uutang lang at uutang ang mga farmers at di kailanman makakabawi. Samantala, bukod sa pagbabayad ng lupa sa land tax, pinoproblema ng mga magsasaka kung saan kukuha ng kapital upang makapagtanim at palaguin ang kanilang ani. Habang naghihintay sila ng pag-ani, ay kailangan naman nilang sustentuhan ang kanilang mga pamilya, ang kalusugan ng kanilang mga mahal sa buhay, ang pagkain pang-araw-araw, pati na rin ang pag-aaral ng kanilang mga anak. Bagamat mayroong mga support services na nakalaan para sa mga agrarian reform beneficiaries sa ilalim ng ating mga kasalukuyang batas, dapat nating kilalanin na ang mga ito ay hindi sapat. Hindi makakarao sa mga maliliit na ARBs sa pamamagitan lang ng land survey at titling, infrastructure, credit facilities, post-harvest at technology transfer. These are not enough. Kailangan nating palawigin ang mga support services na ito ang katugunan na tutugon sa pangunahing pangangailangan ng mga magsasaka at ng kanilang mga pamilya na sa kadalasan ay namumuhay ng isang kahig, isang tuka. Huwag natin silang hayaang mabaon sa utang. Kung wala sila, we will not have food security, and our country, especially in the midst of a pandemic like what we have right now, will not survive. Alam niyo po, madalas kong naririnig ang mga politikong katulad ko at katulad niyo na nagsasabing hindi makatarungan ng mga taong naglalagay ng pagkain sa hapagkainan ng mga pamilyang Pilipino ang siyang unang nagugutom sa ating bansa. It has sadly become a meaningless cliché. Mga minamahal ko mga kasamahan, kung tunay nating pinaninindigan ang mga tagang ito, ay dapat nating baguhin ang sistema. We need a systemic change, and there is no reason to fear. Huwag tayong matakot. If we are truly determined to empower our farmers, then we have to begin with that basic step of giving that farmer a land to call his own. Ito ang magbibigay sa kanya ng dangal, ng direksyon sa buhay at pag-asa para sa kinabukasan. Then we have to complete this empowerment with the necessary support services that will turn simple farmers into successful farmer entrepreneurs like their counterparts in the West. At dapat na rin nating iwanan ang makaluma at mapang-aping mentalidad na nagsasabi sa mga magsasaka na hanggang dyan na lang kayo. Na matuto silang makontento sa kaunting mayroon sila at magpasalamat na nakakakain sila ng 3 beses sa isang araw. Hindi po ito tama. How can we empower them when we impose limits to their economic emancipation and growth? Hayaan natin silang mangarap and let us help them achieve their dreams. Because in the end, kung panalo ang ating mga farmers, panalo ang ating buong bansa. Pero paano mangyayari? Kung makokontento na lang tayo sa mga tapal-butas na solusyon. Itong mga band-aid and stopgap measures na ginagawa natin. Sapat na bang limusan natin ang mga magsasaka, paminsan-pinsan na hindi binabago ang sistema at ang ating pag-iisip? Paano natin patuloy na bibigyan ng maraming magsasaka ng lupa kung mayroong moratorium sa pagbibigay ng notice of coverage magmula pa ng 2014? My dear colleagues, according to the DAR, there are still 621,000 hectares of land that can still be distributed, including idle government lands that could otherwise be used for agricultural purposes. Sayang naman po. We need a law that will institute the second phase of the agrarian reform program in our country, and a law that will address the problems I have just explained to you right now. Mga minamahal kong mga kasamahan, hindi natin dapat mahintulutang matapos ang agrarian reform sa ating bansa. We should not. It is a matter of social justice. And rightfully, agrarian reform is enshrined, just like the tenet of equality, in our Constitution. My dear colleagues, mabalik ako sa katanungan ko sa simula ng aking talumpati. Bakit narito si Geraldine Roman at pinag-uusapan ang agrarian reform? Well, for your information, even before I raised the rainbow flag of LGBT rights, I had already waved the flag of farmers' rights. I am not the first, nor will I be the last. This flag is a tattered flag, old and beaten by centuries of struggle for human dignity and true empowerment. It is a banner soiled by the blood of those who have sought justice, blindly placing their hope in a system that promised them solutions, but only left them waiting. I humbly raise this flag, knowing that I am not worthy to raise the standard of those who fought to put food on the tables of millions of Filipinos, but were left unaided, abandoned, and told to be content with their suffering. Won't you join me in raising this heavy, torn flag? Will we not break the bondage of their suffering? Will we not change the system that has perpetuated injustices to our farmers? We have the power and we must. Suportahan natin ang pagpapalawig ng agrarian reform sa ating bansa sa pamamagitan ng House Bill 5507 o ang New and Improved Agrarian Reform Program. Maraming salamat po sa inyong atensyon at mabuhay po ang ating mga magsasaka. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Geraldine Roman to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Chair is none. The privileged speech of Congresswoman Roman is referred to Committee on Rules for appropriate action. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
Is there objection? The chair is none. The privilege hour is terminated. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to nominate and elect as member of the Committee on National Defense and Security, the Honorable Cesar Joao L. Jimenez. In the same way, Mr. Speaker, I move that he be also nominated and elected as member of the Committee on Public Order and Safety.
Is there any objection? Chair is none. Motion is approved. Congratulations, Majority Leader. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, under the calendar of unfinished business, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill 5989. And may I request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the bills.
The Secretary General is now directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 5989, an act creating the Department of Disaster Resilience, defining its mandate, powers, and functions, and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary status of the bill is that it is in the period of sponsorship and debate. I move that the chairperson of the Committee on Government Reorganization be recognized. The Honorable Marvy Marie.
The chairman of the committee, Congressman Marino, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize to interpolate Congresswoman Honorable Arlene Brosas from Party List Gabriela.
Congresswoman Arlene Brosas is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, maaari po bang magtanong sa ating mabuting sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Certainly, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ginoong sponsor, hinggil po sa implementasyon ng Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010 at congressional oversight function ito, Mr. Speaker, before we even discuss the supposed necessity of creating a new department that focus on disaster resiliency, we should first examine the existing policy frameworks and how these are being implemented. Madalas na umiiral ng batas ang hinahanap natin pero nasa implementasyon ang kakulangan. Specifically, for disaster response and rehabilitation, we have the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010, which is being cited by international organizations as a model for disaster risk and reduction. In fact, andyan na sa batas ang pagpapalakas ng kapasidad ng LGUs sa pagharap sa kalamidad at disaster. Gayon din ang paghikayat ng partisipasyon ng civil society organizations, volunteers, at marginalized groups. Nakasaad din mismo sa batas, under Section 26, ang pagbuo ng Congressional Oversight Committee. Now, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, nagkaroon na ba ng congressional review ng pagpapatupad ng Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010? Kailan po ang pinaka-latest report ukol sa implementasyon ng naturang batas? Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Mr. Speaker, ang panukalang batas po na ito ay hindi lamang tinalakay ng maraming mga authors ng Kongreso, bagamat ito pa rin ay rekomendasyon ng Executive Department upang sa gayon ay mas lalong mapabilis at makapaghanda ang ating bansa sa mga sakuna, kalamidad, dahil pag meron po tayong isang departamento na umaaksyon, ito po ang gustong mangyari ng bagong departamento na ito, Mr. Speaker.
Sir Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor, ang tanong po ng kinatawan na ito ay kung merong naisagawang latest na review. No? Latest review ang PDRRRM ng Act of 2010. At ano po yung latest? Kailan po yung latest?
Mr. Speaker, hindi ko po alam kung merong latest review, but based on experiences at nangyayari sa mga nakaraang kalamidad, mas maganda po ang merong isang departamento dahil dun po sa existing na struktura natin ay medyo mabagal po yung kapag meron pang coordination, at alam naman po natin na sa isang council ay bago pa ho ito mabuo ay meron hong time element na pinag-uusapan, dahil ang time element po ay mahalaga sa mga sakuna, lalong-lalo na po pagka kinakailangan talagang rumisponde. So ang kasagutan po ay hindi ko po sure. I don't have my resource persons with me, Mr. Speaker, but I will find out and let the lady know if there is a study done, or there was a study done regarding the implementation of the existing bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Sponsor. Kung walang naisagawang latest na review, dahil i-check niyo pa po, saan nakatuntong ang pagtutulak ng isang bagong departamento, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor? Alam po natin na kailangan talaga na mag-conduct ng inquiry and assessment on the impact and effectiveness of RA 10121. Kung bakit po, gusto po nating makita kung ano ang mga kailangan o appropriate improvements na kailangan, ano ang mga dapat na i-retain, at ano ang dapat na i-strengthen, ano ang dapat na gains and benchmarks, good practices, and victories na isa-cite natin, no, na nagawa ng gobyerno para mabago natin yung batas ng RA 10121 na sinasabi nyo na ngayon ay nagsasuggest tayo ng isang mega department ng Department of Disaster Resilience. Kaya, Mr. Speaker, mahirap po na walang assessment yung PDRRM Act of 2010. Dahil yun po yung ating batayan at tuntungan. Mr. Speaker, kaugnay po dito, no, sa assessment, naglathala in fact ang United Nations ng isang ulat kaugnay ng implementasyon ng batas. In fact, among the issues cited by the United Nations is the limited amount of attention and resources devoted to DRR research. As a result, many community development plans are also not updated and not tuned into DRR and calamity response concerns. Hindi ba fundamental na kahinaan ito ng implementasyon ng umiiral na PDRRM Act na reflective ng napakaliit na suporta sa research, sa PHIVOLCS at pag-asa at sa Filipino scientists? Mr. Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor.
Mr. Speaker, kaya nga po natin ginagawa, kine-create ang departamento na ito upang mapalakas ang mga data gathering at ang mga kapasidad ng mga offices na sumusuporta. Dapat nga po ay naka-streamline yung mga other agencies upang sa gayon mas mabilis ang reaction. Ito pong departamento na ito ay napag-aralan at napag-diskusyonan sa mga committee levels at ilan ng 17th and ngayon 18th Congress. Kung di po ako nagkakamali, 3 kongreso na po ang nakaraan na na-approve natin ang ganitong creation. I think it's about time that we create such a department. Dahil yung una pong setup ay alam naman po natin na hindi naka-consolidate yung mga resources na kapag humihingi po ng tulong ang ating mga LGUs ay hindi po nila alam kung sino ang mga lalapitan ng mga ehensya. Ito pong kine-create natin ay magbubuo at mag-aaral, mas lalo hong mahigit na pag-aaral ang gagawin upang maiwasan natin ang mas marami pang masasaktan sa mga sakuna dahil nga ito ay designed for risk reduction and preparedness. So, marami na pong pag-aaral ang ginagawa at nagawa upang mapatunayan na ito po ang kailangan natin. Lalong-lalo na po yung mga nakaraang panahon, yung pagputok ng bulkan o kahit yung Yolanda, alam naman po natin na ang na-damage sa Yolanda ay humigit kumulang 90 billion pesos. Kung hindi po tayo handa sa mga ganong klaseng kalamidad, ay mas lalo po tayong magkakaroon ng malalaking gastos ang gobyerno. Hindi lang ang gobyerno at ang buong ekonomiya ay babagsak. So, marami na pong pinag-aaralan, marami na pong napag-aralan upang sa gayon ay ito ang sagot sa pag-save ng mga buhay ng ating mga kababayan. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor, ang tanong ko po ay kung reflective ba na mabibigyan ng pondo, suporta sa research ang PHIVOLCS at pag-asa sang-ayon sa bill, sa bagong bill.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Paanong paraan po, Mr. Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor? Kasi, Mr. Speaker, sa hinabahaba ng House Bill 5989, walang partikular na pagdidiin sa pangangailangang pondohan ng pananaliksik kaugnay ng DRR at ang pagpapalakas ng PHIVOLCS at pag-asa. Maliban sa isang maiksi at broad na section sa powers and functions ng panukalang departamento. Nakita natin ang kakapusan sa government funding and support sa PHIVOLCS. Halimbawa, nang pumutok nga ang Bulkang Taal. Ibig sabihin, hindi susolusyonan ng isang DRR ang napaka-basic na kahinaan sa implementasyon ng existing frameworks on DRR, particular sa research-based crafting of DRRM plans hanggang sa lokal na antas. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Well,
Nakalagay na po ba dyan sa batas?
Well, Mr. Speaker, hindi naman po nakalagay sa batas na ito kung gaano kadami ang pondo na ibibigay sa, for example, sa pag-asa o sa PhilVox, dahil yan naman po ay nire-request natin sa Executive Department at inaaprubahan ng Kongresong ito. So, kapag po nakita yung pangangailangan, dahil nga po specialized na ang departamento ito at marami ang kailangan gawin, so yun po ang justification upang magkaroon at mag-request ng pondo sa mas masusipang pag-aaral o madagdagan pa ang mga kagamitan natin kagaya ng gamit sa pag-asa, sa predict ng weather at ganoon din sa PhilVox, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, kaya ako po tinanong, sinabi natin kanina na sa paglathala ng United Nations, nakita na may mapangangailangan ng napakaliit na suporta sa research, sa PhilVox at pag-asa. Kung ngayon, magtatayo ng DRR, pero hindi naman din pala yun yung tutok or yung thrust ng program, di parang sinasabi natin na hindi natin yun, hindi binabaliwala natin, no? Yung usapin na yon. Samantalang napakahalaga po ng funding, no, para sa lalo pa, no, sa usapin ng NDRRMC, no. Halimbawa sa NDRRM fund, since the assumption of President Duterte in 2016, NDRRMF has been declining year on year. Tama po ba, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor?
Mr. Speaker, mas magkakaroon pa nga po ng pondo ang departamento na ito sa research. In fact, there is a training institution that will be created. I'm just trying to find the section where it is, but there will be intensive training. So yun po ay mapopondohan dahil nakapaloob po dito yon sa bill na ito, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, for 2020, the NDRRMF has been slashed by 4 billion to just 16 billion. Of this amount, only 3.3 billion can be used for aid, relief, and rehabilitation, while the rest is allotted for construction of post-disaster structures and for Marawi rehabilitation. Now, may expired funds, by the way. So how can the administration, true to its promise of strengthening DRR through the creation of another department, so usapin pa lang ng funding, pababa siya ng mga nakaraan. Kitang-kita yung kawalan ng prioridad sa pagtitiyak ng pondo for aid, relief, and rehabilitation. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Well, tama po ang ating kinatawan, interpellator, na dapat madagdagan ang pondo lalong-lalo na po sa training. Kaya nga po ito ang kailangan nating pagdiskusyonan sa kapulungan ito, lalong-lalo na po budget hearing na po sa itong buwan na ito. At ako po ay isa rin sa magtutulak na mas madagdagan pa ang pondo ng for calamity fund and especially for training, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, may disconnect doon eh. Kasi sinasabi natin kanina na, oo, for DRR to, disaster resilience, no? Tapos, yung NDRRMF natin ay bumababa yung pagpupondo ng administrasyon na ito. Tapos ngayon, paano naman natin madiniyak na talaga pupondohan yung DRR at ito yung ipaprioridad? Tapos, meron bang particular section dyan na yung aid, relief, and rehabilitation ay talagang ipaprioritize? Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Mr. Speaker, kapag na-create na po ang departamento na ito, ay mas malalaman pa ho natin yung mga pangangailangan sa pondo, sa training. At kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, ang budget po na propose ngayong 2021 ay nagkakahalaga ng 16 billion pesos. Hindi ko lang po na-breakdown pa yung amount na yon, but I will take a look at the breakdown and find out the percentage of the funds which is going to the training of our personnel, Mr. Speaker.
On to my next point, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, hinggil po to sa kapansin-pansin na embedded ang whole of the nation approach sa House Bill 5989 o sa panukalang pagbubuo ng Department of Disaster Resilience. Whole of the nation approach is a military term. contained in counterinsurgency manuals and recently in Executive Order number 70 signed by the President Duterte. Ano ba yung relevance ng whole of the nation approach sa usapin ng disaster resilience, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor?
Well, Mr. Speaker, ang ibig sabihin lamang po ng whole of nation approach ay kailangan lahat po tayo ay magtulong-tulong, hindi lamang po ang gobyerno, kung manapay ang mga private sector. Wala naman po itong kinalaman sa human-induced disasters gaya po na nabanggit ng ating kasamahan. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, paano po sinasalamin dito sa House Bill 5989 ang whole of the nation approach? Paano po halimbawa yung mga ahensya, anong mga provisions ang nakatono dito, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor?
Well, Mr. Speaker, ang departamento po ito ang mag-lead at mag-organize ng lahat na kailangang ahensya na para tumulong, kagaya ng BFP, DILG, ng Pag-asa, ng PhilVox, at kahit po ng PNP, ang partly ng DSWD. So, lahat po yan ay kinakailangan hindi lamang po sa pagresponde, pati na rin po sa prevention. So, yun lamang po ang ibig sabihin ng whole of nation approach. And gaya po nung nangyari sa pagputok ng bulkan sa Taal, madami naman po ang mga tumulong na mga pribado, pati na rin po international. So, ang departamentong ito ay capable na mag-organize at tumanggap ng tulong hindi lamang sa local, manapay sa international, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginong sponsor, yan din po yung ginamit ng National Task Force on the Elimination of Local Communist Armed Conflict o NTF-LCAC. Ano po, na nagresulta ng maraming red tagging, nagresulta ng terrorist tagging, nagresulta ng napakarami. Kaya po, pinalilinaw po sa inyo, particular, yung provision na iyan. Dahil yan po ay, alam nyo naman, no, na maaaring magresulta sa mga human rights violations. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, wala pong kinalaman ang departamento na ito doon sa mga nabanggit red tagging, terrorist, dahil ito po ay designed for natural disasters, Mr. Speaker. Ito nga po ay magfo-focus labang sa mga natural disasters. Bagamat hindi po natin inaalis na itong departamento na ito ay pwedeng tumulong kung kinakailangan sa mga lugar na nagkaroon ng naapektuhan, kagaya po halimbawa ng Marawi. Siyempre po, yun po ay isang amendment na ating ginagawa at gagawin upang hindi naman po napiprevent ang departamento na ito, lalong-lalo na po pag inutos ng Presidente ng Republika na tulungan ang mga nangangailangan. So, again, Mr. Speaker, this is designed for natural disasters, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, Section 77 of House Bill 5989, under the final provisions, for instance, needs to be clarified. Yung Section 77, transfer and attachment, the disaster risk reduction and management powers, functions, assets, personnel, and appropriations of the Office of Civil Defense, OCD, currently under the DND, are hereby transferred to the department, and the civil defense functions shall remain with the DND. The existing, ano po ang ibig sabihin ng probisyong ito, kaugnay ng core organizing ng panukalang departamento, kasi nakalagay po dyan, the existing organizational and administrative systems and process of the OCD as transferred shall serve as the core organization of the department.
Mr. Speaker, gaya po ng nabanggit, ang OCD po ang primary department na tutugon sa bagong create na department, pero maiiwan po yung part ng OCD na deals with the human-induced disasters. So yun lamang po mga kagamitan, mga personnel na kailangan po dito sa departamento na ito ang malilipat, hindi po nabubuwag yung OCD. Mananatili pa rin po may OCD, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, kung ang departamento ay magpo-focus sa natural disasters, kaninong mandato na po ang man-made disasters kung i-repeal ang PDRRM of 2010?
Ang mga human-induced disasters po ay responsibilidad ng DND, ng PNP, at it is also an whole of nation approach because iba naman po yung mga pangangailangan sa mga, for example, preventing terrorism, iba po yung mga kailangan dyan. You need to have the different agencies such as maybe NICA or the intelligence community. So yun po ay kakaiba at hindi po concentrated ang departamento na ito sa mga ganong insidente. But again, it doesn't take away the power of this department to help out in cases such as a human-induced disaster will happen, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, nandyan po ba sa provision sa batas na you will help? O sinabi niyo kasi it will not prevent you, the department, from helping the human-induced disasters. Nandyan po ba yon sa mga provision dyan?
Yes, in
Alam
fact.
niyo po, Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, marapat lamang na civilian ang approach sa disaster resilience. Balit kung ang balangkas at core ng itatayong ahensya ay militarista pa rin, masasabing pagbabalat kayong ginagawa dito no, sa House Bill 5989. Aalisin kunwari ang OCD sa Department of National Defense, subalit papatagusin ang framework ng Office of the Civil Defense sa balangkas ng disaster resilience, response, and rehabilitation. This will create numerous implications, of course, at the expense of the civilian authority and decentralization and inclusivity of DRR initiatives at the local level. Sabi natin, lalo na sa UN report, ano po ang gusto ng mga disaster resilient volunteers, CSOs, NGOs, mag-enhance ng public participation at strengthen yung vertical and landscape-wide collaborations. Ibig sabihin po, mas maganda, mas maraming lokal ang nakakasama, mas na-strengthen natin yung kapasidad ng lahat. Yun po yung realistic. Yung maraming mga partisipasyon mula sa CSOs, private sector, and academic institutions. It will improve yung coordination. Kaya nga po isa sa mga paulit-ulit kong naririnig dito, yung mga councils na itinayo dapat manatili sa lokal kahit hanggang sa barangay level. Kasi gusto po natin ang wider public participation. Hindi po nanggagaling ang mandato ng militarista na nandun sa top para magsabi kung ano yung mga gagawin for disaster resilience management. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Well, Mr. Speaker, hindi naman po inaalis ang partisipasyon ng mga iba't ibang NGOs sa larangan ng pag-prepare sa isang disaster. Ang meron nga pong kinreate dito na meron po tayong kinreate dito sa section na ito na para sa mga NGOs, multi-sectoral groups. So hindi po naaalis ang pagpapalakas ng ugnayan sa local level. Mas lalo nga pong mapapaigting dahil meron pong in-establish na multi-stakeholders convergence unit which will be headed by one of the undersecretaries. Yun po i-align yung mga disaster resilient efforts. So hindi po mawawala yung private sector, civil society organizations, academe, and other stakeholders. Mas lalo nga po siyang magkakaroon ng coordination between the public and the private sector, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, nandyan po ba sa batas specifically nakalagay that you will not remove the different levels of the DRRM councils?
Well, Mr. Speaker, wala na po yung DRM Council. Magkakaroon po ng departamento sa local level. Ibig sabihin, magiging isang departamento po yung LGU CDRMO nila or municipal officers nila or city disaster officers nila, yung pong kanilang opisina magiging isa ng departamento. Yun po ang design ng bill na ito.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, gusto po natin ng improvement, even sa structures. Tapos kung yung new bill na ito ay makasasagot dun sa makakaigi po na balikan na yung mga good practices nung na-establish yung RA 10121 ay yun yung functioning councils in different levels. No? Yung LGUs working in partnership with the barangay councils, with the ordinary citizens, na-harness nila dito yung kapasidad, expertise, technical knowledge, experience ng different community stakeholders, science-based institutions, CSOs, and private sector. Kaya ko po sinasabi ito, Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor. Gusto po natin, kung mananatili yung mga DRRM councils na ito, may say sila. Kasi yun po yung magandang karanasan may say sila doon sa kung ano ang nangyayari on the ground at sa mga decisions that's around. Hindi lang po siya isang department, pero doon sa ibaba, hindi nakaka-function or hindi maayos ang coordination ng lahat. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Mr. Speaker, ganun nga po ang gustong nakapaloob dito sa bill na ito. Mas lalo pong magkakaroon tayo ng historical data dahil nga po ito na isang departamento. So mas marami po tayong matututunan na good practices, marami po tayong mechanisms na ma-establish at ito po ay ma-establish natin dahil ito isang departamento. Ganon din po sa local level. Ngayon nga po, yung difference po ng yung setup ngayon ng mga councils ay parati lamang po itong ad hoc, parati lamang mabubuo kung kailan lamang kinakailangan. Ito pong pag-create ng departamento na ito ay full-time, 24 hours na nag-uusap-usap. Hindi yung pagkakailangan lamang po at may calamity. So, mas mabilis po ang response, mas mabilis po ang mga processes dahil po meron isang departamento. Yun na nga po yung ina-explain ko kanina na there is a time element when it's time to respond to any calamity. So pagka po isang council, bago po mabuo yan, ay tatawagin pa po, i-meeting, pero maaari pong marami ng pinsala ang nangyari. Kung meron po tayo, dapat po nakahanda na at ready na bago pa lamang po mangyari ang isang kalamidad, ay nakahanda na. Hindi po naalis sa local level ang mga good practices na nangyayari ngayon, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, kanina po kasi sinabi ninyo, di ba, yung Office of the Civil Defense, siya yung may mandato, siya yung mag-aano. Ibig sabihin, ang structure po ay nasa taas, di ba? Pero ang sinasabi po natin, ang gusto ng mga DRRM councils as of now ay ma-retain sila ang coordination nila sa baba. Hindi po siya yung ano tawag dito? It is a recommendation, It is the recommendation ng mga nagtatrabaho sa ibaba na ma-retain yung ganung mechanism para maging maayos yung koordinasyon ng lahat. But apparently, Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, hindi ganon yung structure na pinopropose ng DRR ngayon. Right?
Well, that's correct, Mr. Speaker. Mas mabilis nga po yung gustong mangyari na reaction ng departamento na ito. Ngunit hindi naman po inaalis ang participation ng civil society. Like I said, there is a section here that establishes the multi-stakeholders convergent unit. So doon po ang civil society organizations, doon po sila nagbibigay ng kanilang mga recommendations at doon po binubuo bago pa lamang po mangyari ang isang kalamidad. So, in essence, maaaring naalis lang yung council, but the participation of civil organizations, academe, and all the other private and public stakeholders are being coordinated and being treated as if they were part of the community, because this is a community effort. It's not, obviously hindi po to talagang sa national level lang mangyayari. Kailangan po talaga ang mga LGUs at ang mga communities sa LGUs, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, ginong sponsor, nag-agree ako dun sa sinasabi ninyo kasi realistically, dapat po talaga community-based analysis kasi yung needs nila, saka yung mga existing capacities at saka yung mga paglalagay ng efficient resources, manggagaling po yun dun sa nakakaranas. Hindi po dun sa hindi nakakaranas, no? Ng kung ano yung calamity at paano yung calamity na nangyari sa kanila. Kaya ang importansya nito ay kasama sila doon sa pag-formulate, pag-implement, at saka ng mga plano. No? Hindi yung minamandate lang sila doon sa pagpaplano. Mr. Speaker, ginong sponsor. Anyway, Mr. Speaker, ginong sponsor, gusto ko rin idagdag doon na sa usapin na pagmamandate na hindi militarist talaga yung ano nito, orientation nitong TRR na ito. We should uphold the dignity and integrate the rights-based approach, and core humanitarian principles. Ito po ay dapat embedded in the proposed improvements of the disaster risk reduction mechanisms, inclusion ng mga vulnerable sectors on the basis of the universal right to be part of the development and to receive aid or RBA, rights-based approach po. Sana po yun ay ma-include as a driving force of the country's DRR, not only on response but also across the thematic pillars including prevention, mitigation, preparedness, recovery, and rehabilitation. This is in the spirit of humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. Kaya po, nilalagay natin, we should uphold dignity and integrate the rights-based approach dito sa DRR na ito. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
I agree, Mr. Speaker. In fact, in sections 85, has a separate section for indigenous people, section 84 for cultural heritage, and also another section for the youth. So, naniniwala po ko dun sa sinasabi ng ating kasamahan, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Sponsor. Sana po makita ko din doon sa final bill na merong section talaga particularly for that. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Mr. Speaker, I'd be happy to take any amendments from the lady from Bayan Muna.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, on children and pregnant women, Section 68 of House Bill 5989 provides for the comprehensive program for children, pregnant and lactating mothers. Unfortunately, such provision is barely enunciated or elaborated. Bilang kinatawan po ng Gabriela Women's Party, kami na natatanging party list ng kababaihan sa Kongreso, mahalaga pong klaruhin namin ito. Ano ang policy direction and intention kaugnay nitong comprehensive program for children, pregnant, and lactating mothers? Ano po yung guiding principles kaugnay nito?
Well, like I said, I'd be happy to take any amendments, recommendations from the lady. The details of those provisions can be placed here or in the IRR, Mr. Speaker.
Kasi Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, this proposed comprehensive program actually can be introduced as amendments to existing laws and guidelines to prioritize, for instance, the welfare of children and pregnant mothers in evacuation centers to minimize their risks to violence against women and children and to help them cope with the psychosocial effects of disaster and calamities. Hindi po natin kailangan magtayo ng bagong departamento para tutukan ito. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor.
Well, I respect the opinion of our lady legislator, but there are hundreds of other authors that believe that we need this department, lalong-lalo na po ngayong mga nakaka-experience tayo ng napakaraming kalamidad. And this has been has been mentioned in 2 zonas already by our president. And I think really it's about time that we create this department. Ang departamentong ito ay hindi lamang po para sa mga pregnant women, sa mga bata. Ito po ay para sa lahat. And I agree na kailangan din natin talagang pag-aralan mabuti ang mga comprehensive emergency programs as far as relief, protection to children, pregnant mothers. So lahat po yan ay dapat kasama sa mga gagawin ng departamentong ito. At siguro pag na-create ang departamento ito ay mas lalo po nating matututukan yung mga bagay na nabanggit ng ating mga kasamahan. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sir Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor, gusto po nating sabihin na dapat embedded din talaga ito sa iba't ibang mga ahensya, no? Hindi naman talaga sa DRR, hindi sa DRR lang, no? Na usapin dahil ito po ay mga programa, no, para sa welfare of children, mga pregnant mothers. So dapat bawat ahensya may programa para sa atin, para sa kababaihan at mga bata. Ito po yung gusto nating sabihin.
I agree, Mr.
Normal po yun. Hindi siya nasa isang department lang nakalagay, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
I agree, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, kaugnay po sa under the powers and functions, the proposed department has the power to develop in coordination with relevant government agencies, policies and programs on land use planning, urban planning, and zoning, which shall, to the extent of such policies and programs, relate to disaster risk reduction, mitigation, prevention of building forward better, prevail over policies or decisions of other government departments, government agencies, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government institutions. Mega po ito no? Kasi sinasabi dito, prevailing over policies or decisions of other government departments, government agencies, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government institutions. Mr. Speaker, Ginoong Sponsor, kasama ba dito yung powers and functions ng ahensya ng pag-determine ng danger zones?
Again, Mr. Speaker, I did not hear it was...
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, kaugnay po ito sa pag-prevail over policies or decisions. Kasama po saan powers and functions ng department, no? Nakalagay doon, develop in coordination with relevant government agencies, policies and programs on land use planning, urban planning, and zoning, which shall to the extent such policies and programs relate to disaster risk reduction. Kapag nirelate na po sa disaster risk reduction, mitigation, prevention of building forward better, it will prevail over policies or decisions of other government departments, government agencies, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government institutions. Ang tanong ko po, kasama ba sa powers and functions ng ahensya ang pagdetermina ng danger zones?
Yes, kasama po, Mr. Speaker.
Kaya po namin tinatanong ito sa ilang pagkakataon, usapin ng danger zone ang ginagamit na dahilan para i-demolish ang mga komunidad. Gaya po yan ang nangyari sa Manggahan Floodway sa Pasig, and with the stipulation that the department's program will prevail over policies or decisions of other government departments, government agencies, GOCCs, LGUs, and other government institutions. Hindi ba vulnerable ito sa pag-abuso ng kapangyarihan? Ano po ang mga pagbabatayan ng pagdeklara ng danger zones? Ang takot po namin dito, gamitin talaga ito, no? Para sa malawakang mga pagdedemolish ng mga kabahayan, ng mga informal settlers, iba pa, no, na gustong i-demolish ng administrasyon na ito. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Mr. Speaker, ang pag-create po ng mga danger zones ay dumadaan sa isang masusing pag-aaral. Unang-una sa local government units, meron na rin po silang CLUP, yung Comprehensive Land Use Plan, na doon dinidetermine kung alin yung mga danger zones. At kasama rin dito, syempre, yung mga LGUs ang magsasubmit po sa departamento na ito at pag-aaralan pa rin ng departamento na ito kung alin talaga yung mga danger zones. Wala naman po tayong magagawa kung ito ay based on science and data na ito ay isang earthquake-prone or flood-prone area, natural lamang po na hindi po dapat pagbahayan o tirahan yung isang flood-prone area. So may basihan naman po, scientific study po ang basihan, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, kaya ko po tinanong kanina kung gaano ang power din na ibibigay doon sa mga DRRM councils or coordination. Dahil pag inilagay po natin ito sa usapin ng pag-abuso sa kapangyarihan, sila po yung dapat na marinig nating boses dahil hindi natin sila yung makapagre-rekomenda kung ano ang makabubuti para sa kanila, silang mga naroon, silang mga stakeholders, silang mga nakatira kung saan yung sinasabi na danger zone areas. At o maaaring ideklara na danger zone areas. Ano? Kaya po ang sinasabi natin dito, hindi ba't parang prone sa abuso, pag-abuso sa kapangyarihan? Kasi kung halimbawa, sabihin lang ng departamento na ito, ay hindi man lang naririnig, no? Yung mga community, mga nakatira doon, mga lahat, wala silang partisipasyon. And that's the only time yung DRRM councils ay makakapagsalita. Pero ito, mandato na kaagad ng departamento at sasabihin niya na agad na alisin na sila. Ganun yung mangyayari. So Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, napakahirap po nito sa mga vulnerable people natin o yung mga lalo na ngayon ay hindi nabibigyan ng boses at hindi naririnig. No? Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, kaya tinanong natin na vulnerable talaga sa pag-abuso ng kapangyarihan itong particular powers and functions na nakalagay dito.
Parang ngayon lang ako nakakita.
Mr. Speaker, gaya po na sabi natin kanina, ito po ay dadaan sa isang masusing pag-aaral at kasama po sa pag-aaral nito, consultation with the communities and sa penalties naman po under Section 70, napakabigat po ng mga penalties dito kung meron mang aabuso sa provision ng batas na ito. Kahit na po yung mga nasa departamento, 100,000 to 500,000 pesos po or imprisonment of less than 6 months or 1 day or 12 years. So malaki po ang mga penalties na nakasaad dito upang maiwasan yung mga pang-aabuso. This department is designed to save people's lives. Hindi naman po siya siguro papayagan ng ating gobyerno na makapang-abuso sa mga lalong-lalo na sa panahon ng kalamidad, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor, kinakitaan po natin ng mga matitinding abuso kahit sa panahon ng kalamidad. No? Kahit po yung Yolanda, hanggang ngayon, ang housing niya na hindi pa rin natatapos. Kahit po dun sa usapin ng Marawi, na hindi pa rin nakababalik yung mga nakatira doon, ng mga kapatid natin Muslim. Tapos, hindi po totoo no, na hindi naaabuso yung kapangyarihan. Kaya mahalaga po yung mga safeguards na nilalagay dyan. Kaya din po hindi ganun ka-overreaching yung nilalagay nating powers prevailing over policies and decisions of other government departments, government agencies, GOCs, LGUs. Napaka-encompassing po nito. Mr. Speaker, ginoong sponsor. Kung sinasabi niyo po na meron namang for clear na monitoring and evaluation and accountability ng plans and implementation, gusto po natin makita yun sa DRRM, dyan po sa DRR bill na yan. And ano po yung mga monitoring and evaluation mechanism for the DRRM plans? Halimbawa, sa local level po, paano po natin magiging accountable? Halimbawa, yung mga nandyan, kapag may nangyaring sakuna at hindi natupad ang mga dapat natupad.
Mr. Speaker, gaya po na nabanggit natin kanina, sa local level po ay magkakaroon ng sariling departamento ang mga municipal responders or city disaster responders. So, mas magkakaroon po sila ng responsibilities. Therefore, there is an accountability to the local government units. And this will be part of the data gathering also of the department. Kasi hindi naman po lahat ng LGU ay kayang or may resources upang makarespond sa mga calamities. Iba-iba po ang sitwasyon ng mga LGUs at hindi rin po lahat ay kayang magkaroon ng mga programa. Kaya nga po kinakailangan ng departamento na ito upang maibahagi yung mga resources sa mga LGUs na hindi o walang sapat na kakayanan upang maging resilient ang kanilang mga communities, Mr. Speaker.
Kaya nga po, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, sinasabi natin na DRRM councils ang mahalaga sa ganyang istruktura. Dahil doon naman po natin maririnig, hindi yung nagmamandate, kundi yung kung sino yung nakakaranas, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor. Na finally, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, gusto ko pong sabihin na yung fundamental na ugat ng suliranin kaugnay ng vulnerability ng kalamidad at pagbabago ng klima, yung kahirapan, mababang kalidad ng trabaho, kawalan ng pagkapondo, hindi po solusyon yung bagong departamento para sa kinatawan na ito. No? Kasi napakarami pong kailangang asikasuhin, no? Bukod sa DRR. Mailantad ang, syempre, sabi natin, no, hindi rin nakakabuti ang approach sa disaster relief and rehabilitation na purong militarista ang balangkas o whole of the nation approach. Lalong-lalo na nilagay ito sa bagong panukala na departamento. Sa tingin namin, magkakaroon po yan ng matinding epekto sa ating mga mamamayan. At finally, syempre, partikular po sa kababaihan at bata, alam niyo naman po sa bawat kalamidad, yan talaga ang pinakamatindi. Hanggang ngayon nga, nararanasan yan ng mga kababaihan. Sa Marawi po, actually, yung mga lugar nila doon, walang division ng babae at saka ng lalaki. Tapos kahit yung mga evacuation centers po, yung CR, problema talaga, hindi talaga yun nagkakaroon ng malnutrition pag natagalan sa mga evacuation centers, ang hirap-hirap. Meron mga areas din nung Yolanda sa lugar ng Samar hanggang ngayon, ang mga pinaka-vulnerable sa kanila ay ang mga kababaihan dahil walang tahanan, kung meron mang substandard, pag nagkakaroon ng mga sakuna at earthquake at pag-ulan at kung ano-ano pa, bukod sa yung iba ay wala pang ang bahay, no? Yung iba ay nananatili sa mga ganong substandard na lugar. Tapos yung iba naman ay pinaplanuhan na ng iba't ibang mga proyekto, pinapaalis na sa kanilang mga lugar, hindi pa nga nabibigyan ng pabahay ng gobyerno. Tumagal na ang ilang taon na ng mga sakuna na ito. So pinaka-vulnerable po dito yung mga kababaihan at bata. Kaya Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, sana po ay itong mga ito ay ma-take into consideration. At Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, gusto po natin ng maayos, no, na disaster resilience management. Pero hindi po necessary na ito ay sa pamamagitan ng departamento, lalo na kung ang pakikinggan po natin ay ang may mga karanasan sa ibaba, lalo na ang mga DRRM councils natin na siyang mga unang rumisponde ng mga panahon na yun. That is why I am asking for the yung atin pong mga review ng pagpapatupad ng Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor. Yun lang po.
Maraming salamat po sa kasamahan, Gabriela, Representative.
Maraming salamat po, Honorable Brosas. Majority Leader?
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the lady from Bayan Muna Party List, the Honorable Eufemia Kapemia Kulyamat, for her interpolation.
The Honorable Representative of Bayan Muna Party List, Kafemia Eufemia, you are now recognized for your interpellations.
Maraming salamat, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, maaari po bang pakinggan itong aking maliit na maiksing manifestasyon hinggil sa PDR bill.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Your Honor.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, ang katutubo ay marunong umangkop sa malupit na hagupit ng natural na kalamidad dahil ang buhay namin ay nakaasa sa kaligtasan. Alam namin ang aming gawin at may kaalaman kami dito na nagmula pa sa aming mga ninuno. Ginong Speaker, Ginong Sponsor, ang matinding hagupit na humahambalo sa amin ay ang mga human-induced calamities. Dinaranas namin sa mga panahong kami ay napilitang magbakwit para sa aming seguridad. Nararanasan namin kinokontrol ang pagpasok ng relief sa panahong kailangan namin dahil hindi kami makapunta sa aming sakahan habang kami ay nasa lugar na kinikilala naming evacuation center. Ngayon, nababahala kami dahil sa ilalim ng bill na ito, sa Section 5C9, pinapasa ilalim sa regulasyon ang disaster relief, ang accreditation ng mga donors, volunteers at mga non-government stakeholders, domestic man o international. Sa aming karanasan, nagre-resulta lamang ito sa pagkaantala ng relief para sa amin sa panahon ng pangangailangan o di kaya'y nagre-resulta sa pagkakait sa amin mga biktima ng kinakailangang tulong bilang forma ng panggigipit. Para sa amin, ang paggigipit sa malayang pagpasok ng tulong para sa mga biktimang nasa gitna ng kasalukuyan ay sa gitna ng sakuna ay hindi makatao. Lalo na ito'y nakabalangkas sa Whole of Nation Initiative. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, paano natin masasabing ang bulwagang ito ay bulwagan ng taong bayan kung ang mga batas na ating isusulong ay lalong gigipit sa mga kababayan natin sa panahon ng matinding pangangailangan? Ito'y hindi makatao. Para saan ang regulasyon na ito at ano ang magiging batayan ng regulasyon sa relief at accreditation? Yung Speaker, Mr. Sponsor, hinggil sa ancestral domain disaster management, nasa Section 85, hinggil sa mga katutubo, binibigyan ng kapangyarihan ang DDR na gumagawa ng ancestral domain disaster management and resiliency plan sa mga lupang ninuno sa disaster prone at sinasabing as much as possible. Isama ang mga katutubo sa paggawa ng disaster resilience plan para sa kanilang ancestral domain. Walang provision sa na nire-require ang partisipasyon at pagsang-ayon ng mga katutubo sa resiliency plan sa sarili nilang lupang ninuno. Hindi kailangang dumaan sa mga IP. Sinasabi lang sa Section 85 na as much as possible engage ICC and IP sa paggawa ng plano. Ito ay taliwas sa prinsipyo ng pre-prior and informed consent para sa lahat ng mga plano na may kinalaman sa mga katutubo at lupang ninuno. Hindi dapat higit sa partisipasyon. Dapat
Nasa pangunguna pa nga ang mga katutubo, ang mga plano para sa lupang ninuno upang makabangon muli sa sakuna. Sinasabi ni Congresswoman Rosas na hindi po mabuti itong pagtayo ng ibang departamento, lalo na't ito'y nakabalangkas sa Whole of Nation Initiative dahil napakatindi ang aming karanasan. Tayo na nasa Kongreso, mabilis lang tayong magsabi na ito ay makakabuti para sa ating mamamayan. Ngunit sa may mga karanasan ay hindi po ito makakabuti. Ito lang po, Ginong Speaker, Ginong Sponsor, maraming salamat.
Is the author willing to make a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, the indigenous people is under Section 85. So kasama po ang mga mechanisms ng indigenous communities sa pag-determine ng mga plano. And syempre, kino-combine din po ito sa mga scientific studies. So mas lalo nga pong matutuunan ng pansin ang mga pagtulong dahil ito pong Department of Disaster ay mag-organize ng mga tulong na manggagaling hindi lamang sa lokal, manapay sa international donations na nanggagaling sa international communities as well. So, ako po'y naniniwala na ma-address natin yung concern ng ating kasamahan, Honorable Ka Eufemia. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Eufemia, are there any other matters? If none, Majority Leader.
I move for the suspension.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill 5989, Committee Report 2.
Any objection? Hearing none, consideration of the bill is hereby suspended. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of House Bill number 7137 for declaration of holiday and requested the Secretary General be directed to call the roll for nominal voting.
Any objection? Hearing none, the Secretary General is hereby directed to read the title of House Bill number 7137, thereafter call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill 7137, an act declaring September 11 of every year a special non-working holiday in the province of Ilocos Norte in commemoration of the birth anniversary of former President Ferdinand Edrelin Marcos, to be known as President Edrelin Marcos Day. Roll call of members in consideration of House Bill 7137. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu Exaldivar, Abunda, Ako, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Cabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Senaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Humintado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Bersaga, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Cabochan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cawagdan, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredinil, Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero, Cayetano Mariela Arni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalao, Co Angelica, Co Elizalde, Coanco, Colyantes, Crisologo, Cuwa, Cuaresma, Cueva, Colyamat, Dagoo, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, Del Mar, De Los Santos, De Los Montalia, Demaporo Abdullah, Demaporo Muhammad Khalid, Duavit Duhali Duterte, D. Faustino Igno, D. Faustino Michael III, D. Ian Paul, Ebcas Ecleo, El Lago, Enverga, Erice, Ergel, Ermita Buhayin, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Caesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Fer Juliet, Fer Luis, Flores, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Goed, Gomark, Gonzaga, Gonzales, Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goroseta, Gico, Gullas, Guya, Aresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Alosos, Javier, Jimenez, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Konghun, Labad, Lacson Noel, Agman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Lim Kai Chong, Lopez, Loyola, Losotan, Makapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Magunda Dato, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Núñez Malanyaon, Huaminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padjernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Rimulya, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sancopan, Santos Recto, Sarmento, Saulug, Savillano, Xiao, Silverio, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, Si Alvarado, Taduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Shamir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherny, Tejada, Teves Arnulfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Chutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa Fuerte, Villanueva Brother Eddie, Villanueva Noel, Villar Suarez, Villarica, Yolago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikorat, Zarate, Zubiri. Second call in consideration on third reading, House Bill number 7137. Abaya, Abunda, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Baronda, Brosas, Coanco, Ilago, Marcoleta, Nograles Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Panotes, Tan Sherny, Torres Gomez, Villa, Yap Victor.
So with 198 affirmative, 8 negative, 1 abstention, House Bill number 7137 is now approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the consideration on third reading of the following House Bill. All are 7258, 7259, 7260, 7261, 7262, 7263. All are local bills for declaration of tourist spots and ecotourism zone. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? The chair is none. The Secretary General is now directed to read the title of the House bills and call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill 7258, an act declaring Mainit Falls and Hot Springs located in the municipality of Brooks Point, province of Palawan, an ecotourism site, providing for its development and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7259, an act declaring Barangay Tala in the municipality of Orani, province of Bataan, an ecotourism zone and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7260, an act declaring the province of Rizal a tourism development area and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7261, an act declaring the Bakhawan Eco Park in Barangay New Buswang, municipality of Calibo, province of Aklan, an ecotourism zone and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7262, an act declaring Mount 387, also known as Mount Batong Amat, located in the municipality of Caranglan, province of Nueva Ecija, a tourism destination providing for its development and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7263, an act declaring the municipality of Barlig in Mountain Province a tourism development area and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members in consideration and third reading of House Bill number 7258, 7259, 7260, 7261, 7262, 7263. Honorable members, Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Zaldivar, Abunda, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez France, Alvarez Genaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagaching, Balindong, Banyas, Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Bascug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulut, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabuchan, Cabriedo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano, Alan Peter, Compañero, Cayetano, Maria Laarni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalaw, Co Angelica, Co Elizalde, Cohanco, Culiantes, Crisologo, Cua, Cuaresma, Cueva, Culiamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, Del Mar, De Los Santos, De Loso Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, Di Faustino Ino, Di Faustino Michael III, Di Ian Paul, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigiel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortuno, Frasco, Fentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Goed, Gomart, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio Dong, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Gico, Gulyas, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halushos, Javier, Jimenez, Co Elisa, Co Wilton, Konghun. Labad-labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Limcaychong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad, Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles, Jericho, Nograles, Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Núñez, Malangyaon, Ominal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Roni, Ortega, Ulanyo Dizon, Pacquiao, Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Fernandez, Romualdo Sieda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagagbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sangkopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulog, Sevillano, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, Si Alvarado, Taduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sharian, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves Arnulfo, Teves Jose, Chanco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungad, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Eduardo, Brother Eddie, Villanueva, Noel, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate, Zubiri. Second call in consideration and third reading of House Bill number 7258, 7259, 7260, 7261, 7262, 7263. Abaya, Abunda, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Baronda, Brosas, Cojanco, Elago. Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Panotes, Tan Sherni, Torres Gomez, Villa, Yap Victor.
With 209 members affirmative, 0 negative, 0 abstention, the chair declares House Bill numbers 7258, 7260, 7261 is now approved on third and final reading. With 210 members voting for affirmative, 0 negative, 0 abstention. The chair declares House Bill numbers 7259, 7262, 7263 is now approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the consideration on third and final reading of House Bill number 7264, local bills for local legislative franchise, and request that the Secretary General be directed to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is now directed to read the title of the bill and call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill number 7264, an act renewing for another 25 years the franchise granted to Negros Broadcasting and Publishing Corporation under Republic Act number 8161, entitled An Act Granting Negros Broadcasting and Publishing Corporation a franchise to establish, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting station in the Visayas and Mindanao. Roll call of members in consideration of House Bill number 7264. Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu Exaldivar, Abunda, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agabas, Agaraw, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Senaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagatsing, Balindong, Banyas Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Berzaga, Bascug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biason, Billones, Biron, Bolilla, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabutyan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Cawagdan, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredinil, Cayetano, Alan Peter Compañero, Cayetano, Mariala Arni, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalaw, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Coanco, Collantes, Crisologo, Cua, Quaresma, Cueva, Colyamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Daza, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, Del Mar, De Los Santos, De Los Montalia, De Maporo Abdullah, De Maporo Muhammad Khalid, Duavit Duhali, Duterte, Di Faustino Ino, Di Faustino Michael III, D. Ian Paul, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Ergel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas, Ria, Fariñas, Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortun, Fortuno, Frasco, Fuentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia, Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Go, Edgo, Mark, Gonzaga, Gonzales, Aurelio Dong, Gonzales, Neptali, Gonzales, Sandro, Goroseta, Gico, Gullas, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halusos, Javier Jimenez, Co, Elisa, Co, Wilton, Konghun, Labad, Lacson, Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lasatin, Liachon, Legarda, Limlim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Losotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Magunda Dato, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Marino, Marquez, Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles, Jericho, Nograles, Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Nunez Malanyaon, Waminal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Ronnie, Ortega, Uwana Dizon, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padjernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radasa, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez, Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salcedo, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sancopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulug, Savillano, Xiao Silverio, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, si Alvarado, Taduran Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Shamir, Tan Shari, Tan Sherni, Tehadat, Teves Arnulfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Chutor, T. Alan, T. Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, U. Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Brother Eddie, Villanueva, Noel, Villar, Villaras, Suarez, Villarica, Biolago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Baycorat, Zarate, Zubiri. Second call, in consideration of House Bill 7264, Abaya, Abunda, Agarao, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Baronda, Brosas, Coanco, Elago, Marcoleta, Nograles Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Panotes, Tan Cherny, Torres Gomez, Villa, Yap Victor,
with 213 members voting for affirmative, 0 negative, 0 abstention. The chair declares House Bill number 7264 is now approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the consideration on third and final reading of the House Bill number 7336, 7338 for establishment of TESDA centers. And I request that the Secretary General be directed to call the roll for nominal voting.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill and call the roll for nominal voting.
House Bill 7036, an act establishing a Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, Training and Assessment Center in the city of Maasin, province of Southern Leyte, to be known as the Maasin City Southern Leyte TESDA Training and Assessment Center, and appropriating funds therefore. House Bill 7338, an act establishing a Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, TESDA, Training and Assessment Center in the municipality of Banna, province of Ilocos Norte, to be known as Banna, Ilocos Norte TESDA Training and Assessment Center, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call of members in consideration and third reading of House Bill numbers 7336 and 7338. Honorable members, Abante, Abaya, Abellanosa, Abu, Abueg, Zaldivar, Abunda, Acop, Acosta, Acosta Alba, Adjong, Advincula, Agabas, Agarao, Aglipay, Aguinaldo, Albano, Almario, Alonte, Alvarez Franz, Alvarez Senaro, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Matba, Amatong, Angara, Aragones, Arbison, Arenas, Arroyo, Atienza, Aumentado, Babasa, Bagaching, Balindong, Banyas, Nograles, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Barzaga, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Bandigan, Belmonte, Benitez, Bernos, Biazon, Billones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bordado, Bravo, Brosas, Bulot, Bustos, Kabatbat, Kabuchan, Cabredo, Cagas, Calderon, Calixto, Caminero, Campos, Canama, Kawagdan, Cari, Castelo, Castro Franz, Castro Fredenil, Cayetano, Alan Peter, Compañero, Cayetano Maria Laardi, Celeste, Chato, Chipeco, Chungalaw, Co Angelica, Co Elizaldi, Cohanco, Culiantes, Crisologo, Cuwa, Quaresma, Cueva, Culyamat, Dagook, Dalipe, Dalog, Dasa, De Jesus, De Venecia, Defensor Lawrence, Defensor Michael, Del Mar, De Los Santos, De Los Montalia, Dimaporo Abdullah, Dimaporo Mohamed Khalid, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, Di Faustino Ino, Di Faustino Michael III, Di Ian Paul, Ebcas, Ecleo, Elago, Enverga, Erice, Erigiel, Ermita Buhain, Escudero, Espina, Espino, Estrella, Fariñas Ria, Fariñas Rudy Cesar, Fernandez, Fernando, Ferrer Juliet, Ferrer Luis, Flores, Fortun, Fortunov, Frasco, Fentebella, Gaite, Garbin, Garcia, Jose Enrique, Garcia, Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Garin Janet, Garin Sharon, Gasataya, Gatchalian, Gato, Heron, Goed, Gomart, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Dong, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Gico, Gulyas, Guya, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera D, Hofer, Halushos, Javier, Jimenez, Ko Elisa, Ko Wilton, Kong Hun. Labad-Labad, Lacson, Lacson Noel, Lagman, Lagon, Lara, Lazatin, Liachon, Legarda, Lim, Lim Kaichong, Lopez, Loyola, Lusotan, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Malapitan, Mangawang, Mangudadatu, Marcoleta, Mariano Hernandez, Mariño, Marquez Martinez, Matba, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Momo, Natividad Naganyo, Nava, Nieto, Noel, Nograles Jericho, Nograles Juan Fidel, Nolasco, Núñez Malangyaon, Ominal, Olivares, Ong Jose, Ong Roni, Ortega, Oang Dison, Pacquiao Alberto, Pacquiao Rogelio, Padiernos, Paduano, Palma, Pancho, Panotes, Peña, Pichay, Pimentel, Pineda, Plaza, Puno, Kimbo, Radaza, Ramirez Sato, Ramos, Remulla, Revilla, Reyes, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand, Romualdez Sieda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagagbarilla, Sakaluran, Salceda, Salimbangon, Salo, Sanchez, Sancopan, Santos Recto, Sarmiento, Saulog, Saveliano, Xiao, Silverio, Singson, Singson Mihan, Sinsuat, Swansing Estrelita, Swansing Horacio, Suarez Aleta, Suarez David, Suntay, Si Alvarado, Taduran, Talyado, Tambunting, Tan Alisa, Tan Angelina, Tan Samir, Tan Sharian, Tan Sherni, Tejada, Teves Arnulfo, Teves Jose, Tiangco, Tolentino, Torres Gomez, Tulfo, Tupas, Tutor, Ti Alan, Ti Diego, Umali Alfonso, Umali Maria Victoria, Unabia, Ungab, Uy Juliet, Uy Rolando, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso, Vergara, Villa, Villafuerte, Villanueva, Eduardo, Brother Eddie, Villanueva Noel, Villar, Villarasa Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yap Eric, Yap Victor, Yu, Zamora Ronaldo, Zamora Waikurat, Zarate, Zubiri.
Ready ka na lang. Hindi, ready ka lang.
Second call of members in consideration and third reading of House Bill number 7336 and 7338. Honorable members, Abaya, Abunda, Agaraw, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amatong, Baronda, Brosas, Kuhangko, Nograles Juan, Nolasco, Panotes, Tan Sherni, Torres Gomez, Villa, Yap Victor.
With 216 members voting for affirmative, 0 negative, 0 abstention, the Chair declares House Bill number 7336 and 7338 is now approved on third and final reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that we direct the Secretary General to immediately transmit to Senate the bills approved on third and final reading.
The Secretary General is directed to submit the approved on third reading in the Senate. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, under the calendar of business for the day, I move that we consider House Bill 7496 as contained in Committee Report number 434 submitted by the Committee on Legislative Franchise and request the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the measure.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 7496, an act granting Servitron Industries Incorporated a franchise to construct, install, operate, and maintain radio and television broadcasting stations throughout the country.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, to sponsor the measure, I move that we recognize Honorable Alfredo Pido Garbin of Ako Bicol Party List. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Bicol, Congressman Pido Garbin, is now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am honored to sponsor House Bill 7496 and allow me to adopt the explanatory note as our sponsors of speech. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we consider the respective explanatory notes as sponsorship of the said measures.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no member to wishes to interpolate, I move that we close the period of interpolation and debate.
Is there objection? The chair is done. The motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The chair is done. The period of amendment is now approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no member wishes to propose amendment and no committee amendments, I move that we close the period of amendment.
Is there any objection? The chair is done. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve for second reading House Bill number 7496.
All those who, there is a motion to approve House Bill number 7496 for second reading. Those who are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those who are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Majority Leader. House Bill number 7496 is now approved on second reading.
Thank you, Mr.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended. Congrats, Mr. Pido. Galing mo.
Lahat po okay na? Sige, sige. Thank you.
Sessions resume. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, for omnibus approval on second reading on local bills, I move that we consider House Bill number 7355 under Committee Report number 409, 7358 under Committee Report number 410, 7359 under Committee Report 411, 7368 under Committee Report number 414, 7369 under Committee Report 415, 7370 under Committee Report number 416, 7371 under Committee Report 417, 7384 under Committee Report number 418, 7385 under Committee Report number 419, 7386 under Committee Report 420, 7421 under Committee Report 423, 4637 under Committee Report 424, 7423 under Committee Report 425, 7432 under Committee Report 427, 7433 under Committee Report 428, 7434 under Committee Report 429, 7435 under Committee Report 430, 7487 under Committee Report 432, 7488 under Committee Report 433, 7499 under Committee Report 437, 7510 under Committee Report 439, 7511 under Committee Report 440, 7512 under Committee Report 441, 7513 under Committee Report 442, 7514 under Committee Report 443, and 7515 under Committee Report number 444.
There is a motion for omnibus. There is an omnibus motion. Various House bill and committee report. Is there any objection? There being none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the explanatory notes of the foregoing local bills be made as the sponsorship speech of the said bills. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no members who wishes to interpolate on the foregoing bills, I move that we close the period of sponsorship and debate on the foregoing bills. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr.
Majority
Speaker, I move that we open the period of amendments.
Is there any objection? The period of amendment. There is a motion. The chair is done. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no individual amendments nor committee amendments, I move that we close the period of amendments of the respective bills.
There is a motion to close the period of amendment. The chair is done. There is a motion. The chair is done. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we approve on second reading the foregoing local bills. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, there is a motion to approve local bills. Those who are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those who are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. The omnibus approval of the proposed House bill is now approved on second reading. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the change of referral of the following measures. House Bill number 2948 from the Committee on Public Order and Safety to the Committee on Local Government and Public Order and Safety. House Bill number 6631 from the Committee on Public Order and Safety to the Committee on Transportation. House Bill number 7335 and 7457 from the Committee on Poverty Alleviation to the Committees on Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Development and Poverty Alleviation.
Is there any objection? The chair is done. The motion to change of referral of the following House Bill number 2948, 6631, House Bill 7335, and 7457. So there be no objection. The chair is done. Motion is approved. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we include additional co-authors to House Bill number 6077, 7406, 7407, 7425, 7440, 7496, 7507, 7355, 7358, 7359, 7368, 7369, 7370, 7371, 7384, 7385, 7386, 7421, 4637, 7423, 7432, 7433, 7434, 7435, 7487, 7488, 7499, 7510, 7511, 7512, 7513, 7514, and 7515, and House Resolution numbers 1132 and 1160 as contained in the list to be submitted by the Committee on Rules.
There is a motion to include additional co-authors of the following House bills read by the Majority Leader, and House Resolution numbers 1132 and 1160 as contained in the list to be submitted by the Committee on Rules. there any objection? Hearing none, motion is carried. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we designate the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of House Bill number 6878 and Senate Bill number 1318, amending Republic Act 10068 or the Organic Agriculture Act of 2010. Rep. Wilfredo Mark and Verga, Representative Conrado M. Estrella III, Representative Francisco Kiko B. Benitez, Representative Sharon S. Garin, Representative Wilfredo Willie S. Caminero, Representative Argel Joseph T. Kabatbat. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved. We designate now the following members to the Bicameral Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of the House Bill number 6878 and Senate Bill number 1318, amending Republic Act number 10068 or the Organic Agriculture Act of 2010. The following members: Representative Wilfredo Mark M. Enverga, Conrado M. Estrella III, Francisco Kiko B. Benitez, Sharon S. Garin, Wilfredo Willie S. Caminero, Congressman Argel Joseph T. Kabatbat. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill 5989 and I move to recognize Honorable Marby Marino.
Congressman Marby Marino. The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the bill.
House Bill 5989, an act creating the Department of Disaster Resilience, defining its mandate, powers, and functions, and appropriating funds therefore.
Majority Leader.
Sir Speaker, I reiterate my motion. I now recognize Honorable Marby Marino.
We now recognize Congressman Marby Marino of Batangas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Honorable Sara Ilago of Kabataan Party List for her interpolation.
Congresswoman Sara J. Delago of the Kabataan Party List now recognized.
Maraming salamat, Ginoong Speaker. Will the distinguished sponsor be open to a few clarificatory questions from this youth representation?
Certainly, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat po. On page 17 of the bill, enumerated in the functions, the powers and functions of the proposed department. Number 12 and 13 po. These pertains to powers and functions related to addressing the long-term effects of change on sustainable development, as water resources, agriculture, forestry, coastal and marine resources, infrastructure, in coordination with government agencies. And number 13, this also pertains to the design and the implementation of an incentive system for greater private and public investment on disaster risk reduction. Likewise, the next provision on the powers and functions is related to ensuring the main in development and land use planning and the preparation of contingency plans. First, Mr. Speaker.
Excuse me po, Ma'am Sara, medyo malabo po ang dating nyo dito, Ma'am. Ma'am Sara, Congresswoman Sara Jane. Pakiayos lang po siguro yung signal nyo. Hindi po naririnig dito sa plenary. Please proceed po. Please proceed, Congresswoman Hilago. Congresswoman Nilago, please proceed po. Dito? Okay, Congresswoman Nilago.
Mr. Speaker, I move that
Majority Leader.
due to technical problems, I move that we suspend session.
Session suspended.
Talaga kaya ng internet ni Sarah. Baka daw pwede ikaw na. Sarah. Di ba si Sarah? Ikaw na lang. At dalawa na lang kayo ni Sarah, boss. Request. Oo. Hindi na. Yan na rin. Hindi na, boss. Okay. Clear ko na to. Kay Sarah na lang. Okay. Thanks, boss. Yun na siya.
Okay, ayaw sumagot ni Sarah eh. Kasi ang gusto ko sana, i-forward na lang sa akin yung questions. Para recorded siya. Thanks, thank you. Sige, itry na makaroon. Sige, thank you. Okay na daw tumakbo si Kalon. Okay na siya?
Sessions resume. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we continue with the interpellation and move to recognize the sponsor, the Honorable Marvin Marino, and likewise the interpellator, the Honorable Sara Elago. May I request the Honorable Sara Elago to just turn off her camera so as not to consume the bandwidth of her internet. And before we continue, Mr. Speaker, may I request our technical team if the Honorable Sara Elago is already on board. The Honorable Sara Elago, are you there?
Congresswoman
Yes,
Sara.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Sara Elago for her interpellation. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Congresswoman Sarah Jane Elago is now recognized for your interpellation. Please proceed, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First, I'd like to ask the effect of the proposed Department of Disaster Resilience in regard to the current powers and functions of the Climate Change Commission, since two or more of the enumerated powers and functions in the bill are related to addressing the long-term effects of climate change on sustainable development and also on mainstreaming climate change adaptation in development and land use planning and the preparation of contingency plans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The newly to be created department will coordinate with the I'm just looking for the section. Climate Change Commission, Mr. Speaker. As we all know, Climate Change Commission has a long-term plan. So the DDR focuses more on the resilience aspect and as far as the preparation is concerned. But definitely it will work with the Climate Change Commission, Mr. Speaker. And as far as the development of comprehensive land use plan, it is correct that the DDR will be responsible for the study and also the creation or study and provisions on the CLUP of the local government units in coordination with the local government units as far as the land use plan is concerned, Mr. Speaker.
Speaker, hindi po ba magkakaroon tayo ng pagdodoble ng mandato kung ang nakasaad po na kapangyarihan dito sa House Bill 5989 ay may kinalaman rin sa formulation ng policies na may kinalaman sa climate change. Lahat na po ito sakop ang pagtugon natin sa climate emergency, ang climate resilience, lahat po ng mga hamon na may kinalaman sa klima na nagdudulot sa atin ng matinding epekto pagdating sa pagtama ng mga natural calamities dito sa ating bansa. Hindi po ba ito magiging doble na trabaho na sa huli dahil magiging malabo o doble-doble pa ay hindi natin magagamit ng mahusay, epektibo ang ating limitado na resources para dito.
Mr. Speaker, under Section 78 of this bill, there is a coordination and convergence with the Climate Change Commission. The Climate Change Commission is more a longer term. We're talking about 100 years planning in terms of addressing climate change. This department is more on a shorter term basis. So I don't think there will be a duplication of responsibilities and also planning, because pag sa climate change naman po ay more on long term po ang planning sa mga development and platforms implementation sa climate change. Ang DDR naman po ay more on a shorter term basis, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Yes, Speaker, pero nakalagay po mismo sa Powers and Bill 5989 number 12 sa ilalim ng disaster risk reduction, addressing the long-term effects of climate change. So napakalawak po, very broad yung binibigay natin na kapangyarihan dito sa departamentong ito na maaari pang dumoble doon sa ginagawa na sa kasalukuyan ng Climate Change Commission. Kaya sa atin po dapat malinaw sa pagtatakda ng mga gawain ng kapangyarihan ng ating mga departamento, mainam na para matiyak na may mabuting pamamahala sa ating resources sa pampublikong pondo at gayon din sa masusing paggamit ng oras para matiyak na nakakatugon tayo agad sa disaster, sa natural hazards, sa gitna po ng kalamidad ng dagilian, dapat malinaw ang mga nakasaad dito na powers and functions.
Mr. Speaker,
Ginoong Speaker, isang paglilinaw din, opo. Tungkol po sa definition of terms. Nais ko pong hingi po ng paliwanag hinggil sa kung paano yan ng kahulugan ang whole of nation approach sa bill na ito. Para saan po natin ito gagamitin? At ano po ang ibig sabihin ng pagsasaad dito ng national peace and security at paglilikha ng census and understanding ng development ng security na hindi lamang sa security forces at ng oversight government institutions pero buong nasyon, kasama na ang gobyerno, ang civil society, ang private sector at ang mga komunidad.
Mr. Speaker, under the definition of whole of government approach and also the whole of nation approach, it only refers to a concerted effort. Yun naman po ay ibig sabihin nagtutulong-tulong lamang ang lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno, pati na rin ang private sector upang mag-respond or also to prepare to be a resilient community. Kailangan naman po talaga yung whole of nation approach. It doesn't imply anything about, has anything to do with the military or any human-induced disasters such as terrorism and all that. So, ang ibig sabihin lamang po nito ay lahat tayo ay kailangan magtulungan whether it's local, national, private, or public. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I recognize the need to bring about concerted efforts when it comes to a pursuit of a sustainable development. But I find the phrase national peace and security by creating consensus and understanding of development and security quite vague. No? Ano po ang ibig sabihin natin ng paglalagay nito dito sa approach natin sa disaster resilience. Gayong, ang nais nga natin tugunan, yung mga biglaang pagtama ng disaster at kung paano makakatugon ang ating bansa dito, ang ating mga affected na mga community sa pinakamabilis ng panahon na mga pinaka-natamaan. Pero meron pa siyang kasama na mga pangmatagalan at pangkalahatan na mga objektiba at mga layunin na sakop na ng ibang mga departamento ng ating pamahalaan.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me just give an example.
Yung mga balakin po bang linawin?
Mr. Speaker, let me just give an example para po malinaw. For example, during the Taal volcano eruption, meron po tayong mga delivery of goods to be delivered to the victims of Taal volcano. But then, in some instances, kinakailangan po makipag-coordinate doon sa mga sa PNP at sa mga security forces para po maproteksyonan yung mga goods at saka na rin po yung proseso ng pagde-deliver ng goods at ganun din po ang BFP para po ma-secure ang mga delivery in cases of calamities. Yun lamang po ang ibig sabihin nung kasama yung mga security forces. It is just a way or a means for the relief operations to be safe and to be secured, Mr. Speaker.
Ginoong Speaker, yes, maaari po nating malaman no, ang tungkol naman sa paggamit no, ng lahat ng pondo ng pamahalaan na may kinalaman sa pagtugon no, sa ang aming mga calamity funds. Lahat po ba ng ating mga calamity funds at the national level will be managed by the proposed partner?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, para po iisa na lang ang mananagot at may responsibilidad at siya rin po ang may hawak ng mga resources. For example, magtatanong po yung mga LGUs, magpa-follow up kung paano po, saan kukuhanin yung pondo. Nakapalaan po dito sa departamento na ito yung mga calamity funds, Mr. Speaker.
What are the mechanisms to ensure transparency and accountability with regard to the use of calamity funds?
Well, I guess, Mr. Speaker, it would be the same mechanisms as far as has to be a study. There has to be a scientific data on where to use the calamity funds, and the most likely it is a preparation. Siyempre po, bago po magkaroon ng baha, dapat po yan ay napag-aralan na kung saan yung mga lugar na nagbabaha. So it is a long-term study and preparation, planning. Yun nga po ang purpose ng departamento na ito. And under the same government rules, ganun din po ang procure ng calamity fund.
Mr. Speaker, how will this affect our existing efforts to strengthen community-based response, community response to disasters? Nakabatay po dun sa pagpapalakas din natin ng mga grassroots organizations, mga people's organizations, at lahat po ng non-government orgs na tumutulong sa pagtugon sa panahon ng kalamidad.
Mr. Speaker, there is a provision here that will create and establish the multi-stakeholders convergence unit, which will be headed by one of the undersecretaries in an effort to coordinate the private sector, civil society organizations, academies, and other stakeholders para po mas mapakinggan natin kung paano ang mga koordinasyon at malaman din natin kung paano pa magiging resilient ang isang community, Mr. Speaker.
Speak isa doon sa mga mahalagang batayan ng framework ng National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management sa ating kasalukuyang batas, sa DRRM. At isa rin po sa mga minamandato ng batas na ito, ng Republic Act 10121, ay ang pagkakaroon ng sunset review para magabayan tayo saan pa ba yung pwedeng paunlarin at ano ang mga kararapat na hakbang. Nagkaroon po ba ng sunset review ang RA 10121 na ating batayan para magtulak ng bagong ahensya na may kinalaman sa disaster resilience?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, kanina po natanong din yan ng ating kasamahan at ngayon po ay nalaman ko na meron nga pala pong ilan ng oversight committee, Congressional Oversight Committee na nag-conduct ng several meetings or sunset review of the existing RA 10121 since the 16th Congress. So for 6 years, there has been a review of the RA 10121, Mr. Speaker.
Ginoong Speaker, hindi po ang rekomendasyon, no? Kasi wala po tayong nakita na isang papel, no? Bagamat ito ay hiningi na natin mula pa noong 17th Congress na nagsusuma o nagkokonsolida ng lahat ng mga aral mula sa pagpapatupad ng DRRM law. No? At ito rin po yung dahilan, no? Tayo po ay nababahala sa hakbang ng pagsuong ng paggawa na naman ng bagong departamento nang hindi po natin natutugunan. Ano ba yung mga existing gaps, issues, concerns na nakita natin sa community level. Dahil sila yung pinakamahalaga, no, na nabigyan natin ng kapangyarihan dito. Kung paano ba sa mga barangay, sa mga komunidad, sa mga purok, nalalaman at napaghahandaan ng mga komunidad kahit anong forma ng disaster. Ngayon, tila po may nagkaroon ng pagkitid, no, sa framework na mula sa pagpapalakas, no, sa level ng komunidad, sinesentro na naman natin sa isang mega department na maaring madagdagan, no, yung burokrasya, no, ng paghahatid, no, ng serbisyo sa ating mga kababayan, imbis po na mapabilis pa. No, kaya ang representasyon po nito ay patuloy na magbabantay pagdating sa pagtugon natin, no, sa kahit anong forma ng disasters at dito sa na yung ating burokrasya ay streamlined, dana, no, sa kung paano pinakamabilis ang nila, lalo na ng mga natural calamities na ang pinakaunay ang mga local government unit at yung mga barangay officials. Tayo po mismo ay saksi dyan, no? Bilang parte ng relief at rehabilitation network ng mga kabataan, sa bahagi po ng mga student councils at yung mga kabataan natin na part ng volunteer efforts para tumulong po sa ating mga kipag-ugnayan sa LGUs, sa mga mayors, sa ating mga konsehal, sa ating mga sangguniang kabataan, sa ating mga barangay officials. No? Kaya tayo po ay concern, no, pagdating sa ano magiging keso kung meron ng isang malaking departamento na nasa panahon ng disaster. Ano po ang epekto nun dun sa mga non-government actors, organizations, mga relief volunteers. Ang isa na po nating karanasan, yung paghingi pa ng permit, no, dun sa mga relief volunteers, imbes na pagkatiwalaan na, no, naranasan po namin ito sa DSWD, imbes na diretso na yung coordination sa LGU o diretso na yung coordination sa barangay dahil yung barangay naman mismo ay nakikipag-coordinate na rin sa kanyang lungsod o sa isang munisipalidad o sa buong probinsya, no, diretso na sa kanila yung pagpapaabot ng tulong. No? Kaya muli, no, ang kabataan po ay patuloy na magbabantay, hindi lang sa pagpapanday, no, ng policies, mga reforma tungo sa isang disaster resilient, climate resilient na economy at society, no, kundi yung pagbibigay din ng empowerment, no, sa lahat po ng mga gustong tumulong sa community, no, ng diretso sa pinakamabilis na pamamaraan at pag-empower mismo din sa mga communities, no, ng kaalaman, ng kahandaan, ng kasanayan sa pagharap sa kalamidad. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Speaker. Maraming salamat, Ginoong Speaker.
Maraming salamat po sa kinatawan ng Kabataan Party List.
No, baski building kasi importante din. Baski yung building may kwertura rin. Yung mga something na rin building na Majority Leader. Pare sige na. Okay. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no member who wishes to interpolate, I move that we terminate the period of sponsorship and debate.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is carried. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we suspend the consideration of House Bill 5989. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion is carried. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, 1 minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Calendar of business. Basta kaya.
Kailangan pa bumaba.
Oh, pero kasi boss, parang Senator Congress. Kapit tayo. Ibig sabihin boss, makakawin tayo. Parang ibig sabihin sa October. October po. Kayo po para. Ay, November.
Hindi na makakawin. Bawal.
Boss, pasok sa mag-aakawin. Tapos mumulta naman ako ng pasay ko, boss.
Oo. Mayaw na. Kailan mo ma-approve yung budget?
Sir, we are hopeful.
Saan? Oh, gagalit sila. Ano yung shortcut? Yung nagbasa ng title? Oh. Okay. Nagano na ba? Bumalik ka? Okay. Number 2. The second nominee.
Yun, ito pa, isa pa. Ito muna ha. Bago ito.
Ano ko na? Mamaya pa.
akin na lang lahat yun. Moy, additional. Additional. Additional.
Ito, di ba? Session is resumed. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we take up additional reference of business. May I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of bills on first reading as well as communications and resolutions. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary General is invited to read the title of the proposed House resolution and House bills.
Additional reference of business, resolutions. House Resolution Number 1177, a resolution expressing the collective sense of the House of Representatives to congratulate Brother Eduardo V. Manalo for his God-inspired church leadership as he marks his 11th anniversary as the Executive Minister of the Iglesia ni Cristo.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1178, a resolution directing the Committee on Energy to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation to determine the operability and utilization of the Bataan Nuclear Power Plant as an energy source of the country. Representative Barba.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1179, a resolution expressing the profound sympathy and condolences of the House of Representatives to the bereaved family of Honorable Tomas Tommy N. Hoson III, Governor of Nueva Ecija. Representative Barba.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1180, resolution expressing the profound sympathy and condolences of the House of Representatives to the bereaved family of Honorable Francisco June G. Datol Jr. of the Senior Citizens Party List. Representative Barba.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1181, resolution expressing the profound condolences of the House of Representatives to the family of Honorable Zenaida de Castro Maraan, National President of the Federation of Jeepney Operators and Drivers Association of the Philippines, and former representative of the One United Transport Coalition, One UTAC party list during the 15th Congress, Representative Cayetano Alan Peter Compañero, Romualdez Ferdinand, and Abante.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Resolution 1182, resolution expressing profound condolences of the House of Representatives to the family of Mrs. Susan Lim Ong, mother of Honorable Ronnie L. Ong, representative of Alyansa ng mga mamamayang probinsyano, ang Probinsyano Party List, Representative Cayetano Alan Peter, Romualdez Ferdinand, and Abante.
To the Committee on Rules.
House Concurrent Resolution Number 11, concurrent resolution providing for the legislative calendar of the second regular session of the 18th Congress of the Philippines, Representative Romualdez Ferdinand, and Abante.
To the Committee on Rules.
Committee report. Report number 466 of the Committee on Higher and Technical Education on House Bill 7573.
Committee on Rules.
Report number 467 of the Committee on Higher and Technical Education and the Committee on Appropriation on House Bill number 7574.
Committee on Rules.
Report number 468 of the Committee on Economic Affairs and the Committee on Ways and Means and the Committee on Appropriation on House Bill number 7575.
Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, we were informed by the Secretariat of a correction on the voting result on House Bill number 7137 due to a communication glitch. The result of the nominal voting on third reading for House Bill number 7137 should be 197 for the affirmative votes, 9 for the negative votes, and 1 abstention. Mr. Speaker, I move that the records be corrected and let the records of the House reflect the aforesaid result of the voting on the House Bill number 7137. So move, Mr. Speaker.
Any objection? The chair is none. Motion is carried. So the records amend the votes of the House Bill number 7137. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the rules governing inquiries in aid of legislation, I move that we refer the House Resolution number 1101 to the Committee on Public Accounts and the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Any objection? Hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we consider House Concurrent Resolution number 11. And may request the Secretary General that he be directed to read the title of the House Concurrent
The
Resolution.
Secretary General is directed to read the title of the proposed resolution, concurrent resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution Number 11, Concurrent Resolution providing for the legislative calendar for the second regular session of the 18th Congress of the Philippines.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 11. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, so the chair is adopt House Concurrent Resolution number 11. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in view of the untimely demise of Honorable Francisco Datol Jr. of the Senior Citizen Party List, I move that the Secretary General be directed to inform the Commission on Election of the vacancy in the seat of Senior Citizen Party List in the House of Representatives.
The Secretary General is hereby directed. Is there any objection? The chair is none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is hereby directed to duly inform the Commission on Election on the vacancy in the seat of Senior Citizen Party List in the House of Representatives in view of the untimely demise of Representative Francisco G. Datol. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, in the interest of the people of the 1st District of Camarines Sur, I move that we designate the Speaker, Alan Peter Compañero S. Cayetano, as the legislative caretaker of the 1st District of Camarines Sur. So moved, Mr.
Is there any objection? The chair is none. Motion is approved. The Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Alan Peter Cayetano, in the interest of the people of the 1st District of Camarines Sur, that our Speaker is now the caretaker of the 1st District of Camarines Sur. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we adjourn session until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, September 7, Monday. So moved, Mr. Speaker.
Session adjourned until Monday, September 7 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Ayos?
Thank you. Moskit, thank you.
Oh, ngayon muna tayo, picture.
So after tawagan mo tatani Bebot na Bebot. Tapta na kamamok dito'y taktak nga. Ada kami dito'y taktak Santa Fe. Kamamok dito.
Boss, sa akin din po. Thank you po.
Oh, pangalan niya.